Hello and welcome to Jason Talks Geek, the geeky show where I like to talk about geeky things with geeky friends on a geeky couch. And this week I am joined by Josh Macuga, the host of the Collider TV Talk and the Josh Macuga Show. Thanks for coming on.
Dude, thanks for having me.
Now,
you know I like talking this stuff.
I know. And would you call yourself a geek?
I don't like to put labels on things.
Oh, good call.
I always like to like everything and everybody. So if geeky stuff meant certain things I like, then by all means. And if it wasn't other things, then I'm not a geek in certain circles.
Well, I think you're a geek enough to talk about our first topic, and that is Game of Thrones Season 6 just ended.
If that makes me a geek, then so be it, man.
Dip into the pools of Westeros, man. And watch the dragons fly over. That's what I say. So the finale ended.
Yeah.
We're going to go full on into spoilers. So if you haven't seen the end of Game of Thrones Season 6, you might want to run away, come back later. What were your thoughts, general feelings about the finale and the season as a whole?
Well, I tweeted right after the finale, if The Walking Dead could take some notes, they should probably watch the season 6 finale.
I laughed at that tweet. Yeah,
because
was it Walking Dead 6 season 2?
Yeah, it was. And
what are you doing, Robert Kirkman?
It was just a brutal season finale for The Walking Dead, but this season of Game of Thrones was absolutely incredible. Mm-hmm. We're finally, you know what it is, and I don't know how close we are to the books right now because I don't read the books.
We are way ahead of the books now.
Okay, so I think that they're finally going away from George R.R. Martin's I'm going to kill everybody. And by the end, there's just going to be some guy named Dave who they found at a McDonald's sitting on the Iron Throne.
Do you think there's a guy named Dave in Westeros?
He's just, hello, my name is Dave of Westeros. And
I'm Dave of Bravos.
Yeah. But now we're in the point where TV writers are sinking their teeth in a little bit and they're giving TV fans what they want. And you can call what you want. I'm a diehard Game of Thrones fan. I've read all the books. I know the maps and all that. Yes, it makes you a diehard fan. It doesn't make you any better of a fan. And you can go ahead and say I didn't like this season because I read the books and it wasn't like the books. I'm like, well, us TV watchers friggin' loved it. And that's season finale.
And I've read the books.
Okay.
And I loved it because the last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones I thought were kind of wandering. Nothing really happened. I was walking into the 6th season of Game of Thrones ready to be if this one doesn't deliver, then I'm not going to watch the next
Really?
two. I was ready to walk away, and this season brought me back in. This was my favorite season of Game of Thrones since the first season.
Yeah. Oh, this season was incredible.
By far, But I will say, I agree with you. I feel that the TV writers, they are we're going to deliver. We're going to give them a finale. We're going to make sure that stuff moves along. And then I love their interviews that they're saying now where they're well, we only have maybe 15 episodes, maybe 13 if we decide that script's too fat.
Yeah.
And you're just holy crap, is there only 13 episodes of Game of Thrones left?
And here's the beautiful part is something like Sopranos, which is one of my favorite TV shows of all time, right? Season 1 ended like The Godfather. Right?
Okay.
They killed a bunch of people, yada, yada, yada. Season 2 was great. Season 3 was good. Season 4 and Season 5 were awful. And then they weren't great TV.
Yeah.
You had a whole episode based on a baked ziti with Janice. It sucked. And then you had a final season and then it ended. There was no, and The Wire did it a totally different way. Those shows didn't really have they didn't have a goal.
All the way through,
goal.
Yeah. See, right? I would even make the argument Breaking Bad, what I think is one of the greatest television shows of all time. Yeah. Season 2, not as good as the rest.
No, because they didn't know that this was going to be this cult phenomenon.
Yeah, they kind of in season 2 they kind of drag out when Skylar finds out. Yep. And I was she should have found out in season 1.
Absolutely.
And then you're taking way too long.
Dude, if I go out and I'm not home within an hour of when I told my girlfriend I'd be out, she knows something's wrong. She's like, "You're dealing meth." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
You're a drug dealer.
Yeah.
You're a drug dealer, Josh.
But this season 6 and this season finale in particular was so just satisfying as a fan of the show because now we're seeing where things are gonna go. We're getting answers to questions. Yes, we did get really boring parts of the Fellowship of the Ring in 4 and 5 because Fellowship of the Ring there was a lot of walking.
Sure, yeah.
The walking part of The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings.
There were a couple setup episodes.
Yes. Which I'm never not a total fan of, but some of those episodes were all set up, and it was give me.
But when you see that the finale was nothing but execution,
yes,
there were 5 scenes in that episode where they would end the scene, and I was we're gonna cut to black.
Yeah,
no, another scene. Oh, okay,
it was
we're gonna cut to black.
King-ish.
Yeah, kept going.
Yeah.
Like there were so many moments where I was like, that could have been the ending. That could have been the ending. That could have been the ending. And the episode kept going.
I
and
know.
it didn't help that the episode was an hour 15.
No.
I mean, not that I'm complaining. That was a great thing.
Sure.
So, okay, I thought it would be fun if we play a little game. Okay. I'm going to give you some of the Game of Thrones characters, and I want you to predict. We have 13 episodes left to go. Basically a normal cable television season.
Yeah.
I want you to predict in one sentence what you think is going to happen to these characters.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
Jon Snow.
On the Iron Throne.
Sansa Stark. Sansa.
Head of Winterfell.
Arya Stark.
Man, that's tough. Crap. She's going to be Hand of the King.
Okay, interesting. The Hound.
Hound is dead.
Okay. Cersei Lannister.
Dead. At the hands of a dragon.
The hands of a dragon?
Like the dragon's... I want the dragon, I said this on TV Talk, I want the dragon to come in and pick her up and whip her around like that and throw her into the...
Like the Hulk to the Loki?
Yes,
Nice.
exactly.
I like it.
Yeah.
Bran Stark.
Bran Stark warging a dragon, defeating the White Walkers.
Interesting. Jaime Lannister.
Dead at the hands of his sister.
Interesting. Deep cut. Grey Worm.
Grey Worm... Back to... He's the head of the King's Guard.
Back to reality?
He's the head of the King's Guard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Tyrion Lannister.
Dead.
All three of the dragons.
One's dead.
Okay, one dies.
2 are alive.
And Khaleesi.
Khaleesi is... I said that Jon Snow would be on the Iron Throne.
Mm-hmm. Where's Khaleesi going?
She is going to be with him on
Married?
the Iron Throne. No, they're not married because...
Well, Targaryens love to marry each other.
That's true. But they're not going to be married. That would be so weird. That would be too incestual. I think people wouldn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't really react with fans. But I think she will be there. She'll be like the Cersei Lannister. She could be Hand of the King, but I'm going to say she is just there in Westeros where she should have been, freeing people, like almost like a Mother Teresa of things.
So she's going to be the Mother Teresa of Westeros?
Of Westeros, yes. Yeah. You can't be slaving. I will run. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm glad that you said one of the dragons are going away because I do think we get the scene where like all the dead things that the White Walkers have controlled like just overwhelm a dragon.
Yes, absolutely.
And just go crazy.
Because we think these dragons are invincible.
All right, and final question here.
Yeah.
What do you think is the final scene? What's
of Game of Thrones?
Yeah, just throw that. Go for anything. What is the final scene that we see in Game of Thrones?
Final scene in Game of Thrones
Tough. I'm putting you on the spot, man.
is Jon Snow being crowned king.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. On the Iron Throne.
On the Iron Throne.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. All right. I think it's going to be Bran touching.
Can I ask you these?
Sure. I mean, I don't think I can top you. Sure. Ask me the same character.
Okay.
Let's go.
Jon Snow.
God. I think you're right. Iron Throne.
Okay. Sansa Stark.
Dead.
Arya Stark.
Thought dead. Disappeared. Assassin of the world.
Ooh. The Hound.
Dead.
Cersei Lannister.
Dead.
Bran Stark.
Connected. He is the Three-Eyed Raven. He's connected to the Weirwood. Probably in Winterfell.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Jaime Lannister.
Dead.
Grey Worm.
Dead.
Tyrion Lannister.
Dead.
Khaleesi.
Dead.
Wow. Everybody's dead and it's just Jon Snow? Holy shit, man.
I do not think...
Jason R.R. Martin over here.
I don't think Cersei makes it out of the series alive. I think she is going to join her Moon of Moons and join Khal Drogo in the afterlife.
Wow.
I don't think she makes it. I don't think she makes it out. I think something is going to force her to give up the dream that she's had since she was a kid. Like, she wants that Iron Throne. She wants that Iron Throne. And I think, here come the White Walkers. And she's like, I can get the Iron Throne, but if I do, they take over everything.
Wow.
I'm going to be better than my father.
Oh.
And take out
leave this world better
and
than
leave this world better than I and leave this world better. I think she'll so somehow she'll find out that Jon Snow is a Targaryen.
Okay.
And she'll be like, well, at least the Targaryen is on the throne. I'm going to let him do it. I'm going to destroy the White Walkers with my dragons. And then she's out.
Dang, that's pretty good.
Yeah. I don't... We now have 2 Targaryens that are going to the throne.
If she dies and there's dragons that are alive...
Well, here's the question that I was throwing out on Twitter. On Twitter, I was throwing out on Twitter. Will the dragons have a reaction to Jon Snow? He's a Targaryen. Will they sense that he's a Targaryen? And also, he was just resurrected by the Lord of Light. Is he also now fireproof?
Yeah.
He could be. He really could. Because the interesting thing about that finale for me, where I was like, oh, I now understand the title, A Song of Ice and Fire. For a long time, people thought that was Jon Snow versus Daenerys. I think it's Jon Snow. He's both.
Interesting.
He's ice and he's fire combined.
Do you think one of the things I said, I don't know if this is true, is that I think because Jon Snow was brought back to life in Castle Black, that a lot of those spells that kept the death at bay are now are null and void.
Oh, you mean like the reason why the White Walkers can't cross?
Correct.
I think that's actually going to happen because Bran's going to come past the wall, and because he's now marked. I think that's what brings the White Walkers down.
Interesting.
Oh, I think we don't end next season without that wall coming down. That wall is just going to go.
Yeah, it's going to be a dynamic.
And they're going to have to come up with some solution that permanently takes out the White Walkers.
Yeah.
And maybe it's the dragons.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the dragons just burning them all, and the dragons sacrificing themselves. I don't know what it's going to be. And maybe it does take Bran working as the dragons. You definitely know they're going to do that. There's so many possibilities, and that's the thing that excites me about Game of Thrones now is I don't know where it's going now.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yes.
All right, so let's move on to our next geek topic. There was a new Star Trek Beyond trailer. Trailer 3 had a big Rihanna song. They even shared a video where Rihanna was like, "I'm such a Star Trek fan. I didn't get paid $1 million to write this song." I'm a huge Star Trek fan.
Yes, I know.
I think this trailer really excites me. Okay. I'm excited for this movie, but they're doing something weird with the marketing.
Yeah.
They're not revealing a lot. There haven't been many trailers, like not as many as we had for Into Darkness. By the time we were almost to Into Darkness, I think everybody knew that Khan was the villain of that movie.
Right.
This one, I can't tell you anything.
All I know is that one guy who looks like Cobra Commander is the villain.
Yeah, Crawl, or his name.
Yeah, he's a crawler. Listen, I'm not a huge Star Trek fan. Okay. I liked the first one, and I didn't love Into Darkness.
Okay, yeah.
I really like this reboot. I've never really seen any other movies, never seen any of the TV shows, but I've really enjoyed this like re-uppance of Star Trek to kind of make it a little badass.
Well, let me ask you this: so does this trailer make you excited for that movie?
Well, I'll go see that movie.
Okay, totally.
I mean, we're gonna see it at Comic-Con in that outdoor screener for sure.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
You're there?
Oh, yeah.
How did you get in?
Because we're with Film HQ. Because we're with Comic-Con HQ.
I didn't even get into that.
Sorry, man.
I didn't even get into that. This guy's going to be there?
It's unfair. I apologize. If I could sacrifice my ticket for you, I would do that because I would want to give it to somebody that cares way more than I do. Not that I don't care. I know there's going to be
the plan is for me to see it the immediate next night.
Okay.
The immediate next night. That's I will leave Comic-Con to go see Star Trek. Yes, I will. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. But so from this trailer, we don't know a lot. They go to a planet. It looks like the Enterprise is destroyed. I would love to hear the Josh Macuga plot.
All right.
From what you know of Star Trek Beyond. I want to tell me what you think.
I don't know any of the plot. All I know is what I've seen in the trailer.
Okay.
So here's what happens. The Star Trek Enterprise gets blown up at the beginning by the guy that looks like Cobra Commander.
Okay.
And those things that they're like going into it look like a meteor storm, but they're like a swarm of Ant-Man type things. They're just like, and they go through the Star Trek.
Okay.
Correct. Like nanotech. Yeah, just like that. And then they blow up the ship, and then the Star Trek Enterprise people get like thrown all over the place. Kirk escapes into a pod. A lot of his people, you saw some peg, they go, and they're now in like they look like they're in slavery or they're being kidnapped or something.
Slavery. Yes, they're in slavery.
And then
will they find alien Abraham Lincoln?
He's going to come in and emancipate
him. Okay, got it. Yeah.
And then you see white-faced Darth Maul, who's a female. She's got that stick, and she looks like a badass. White-faced Darth Maul.
Oh my god.
She gets on the side of the Star Trek guys, and now they have to like join back together to get onto a new ship to save the day and beat Cobra Commander, which they're gonna do, and you see in that one point when Captain Kirk's like, shit's about to get real. Basically, what he's saying, like, let's turn this bitch up to 11, and then they save the day. Obviously.
All right. I don't think I could beat that.
I don't know anything.
White-faced Darth Maul is.
That's a hashtag. I guess.
Oh my god! They haven't even revealed her name yet. That's crazy. That's crazy. Do you have like how many of the previous classic Star Trek movies have you seen?
I've seen parts of Wrath of Khan.
And
you know the only reason I saw it? Because they mentioned it in the Seinfeld episode. So I was like, it's got to be good.
You're like, if Seinfeld mentions it, I got to see it.
Yeah. I just was never, there was something about Next Generation and I would like see it on TV when I was younger. And I was like, I don't like the look of this. Like it just didn't do it for me. I mean, I love television, obviously, but it was something about Star Trek that just, I was such a Star Wars kid.
Interesting.
And it wasn't like it was DC, Marvel, Star Wars, Star Trek. It was just something that my dad didn't watch, and anything like my dad watched, I watched. Or like my brother was a big influence.
So your dad didn't watch it. So we're going to blame Mr. Macuga Sr.
John Macuga, yes.
John Macuga.
Yeah, it's his fault. Yeah.
Shame.
There's a reason I was way into like a lot of superheroes because my dad was, but he wasn't into Star Trek, so we never got into that.
It's interesting because there are a lot of superheroes that are like Star Trek.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Anyways, let's move on to the next geek topic. The director of Drive, Nicholas Winding Refn, however you say his name, he wants to make.
He's a Danishman.
He said in an interview that he wants to make Batgirl, which I think is a very interesting choice. What brought up the conversation to me, is there a director out there that you would like to see make a superhero movie? And if so, which superhero? So which director and which superhero do you want to see?
Let me start with superhero because I talk about this all the time.
All right.
I love the Phantom. That was like one of the guys that my dad and I loved. We read the comic books. We got some of the graphic novels.
There was a Billy Zane
There was a Billy Zane movie.
Wears a lot of purple.
Yes. And he is a purple superhero. That's his outfit is purple. And he's a human being. And he is the ghost who walks.
Wait, he's not a phantom.
No, he's not. But he's called the Ghost Who Walks, which is such a cool thing. Like, think about that title, like the Ghost Who Walks. It's not bad, right?
Yeah, the Ghost Who Walks.
Now, I'm one of the few in the world that say, like, I liked the Billy Zane movie. I thought it was fun. It was kind of cartoonish.
It's currently on Netflix.
Yes, you can watch it. I've watched it many a time. Really enjoy that movie. I would love to see a really gritty Phantom movie that has like, but has the humor in it that it's known for in the comic books, directed by somebody like a Judd Apatow.
That's an interesting choice. So you want a superhero? You want like the Green Hornet?
No, I don't want the Green Hornet.
Because I don't want that again.
I hated the Green Hornet.
I did too.
I want something that is grounded in, because Apatow, for all of his faults recently, if you were to give him a property that has source material, I think he would do it right.
Okay.
I don't think he's making like dick jokes or something, but I think that the Phantom put in modern time needs a bit of like a modern twist to it. And we're not going to put Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen as a superhero was the dumbest thing they ever thought to do.
Yeah.
I love Seth Rogen in a lot of stuff. He's not the green freaking hornet.
So would you set it in the time, because the Phantom's set in the 1930s,
20s and 30s,
the 20s and 30s. Would you leave it in that time period?
No, I would take it here.
Modernize it.
Yeah, modernize it.
Okay.
You still have the island. You still have his common enemies and all that kind of stuff. But he's well known. He rides a white horse. That's his mode of transportation. But that white horse really should only stay on the island, right?
He doesn't bring the white horse with him?
No.
Does he not like horses?
He loves horses.
He loves the horses.
I mean, he rides the cop horse in the movie. So you could do like police on horseback kind of a thing. And let's be honest, like how badass are some things with horses? But in modern times, I think that he's sort of a playboy like Bruce Wayne a little bit.
Would you give him a white Aztec to make up for the horse?
Like is that a Pontiac?
Yes, sure.
Isn't that what?
It's a Pontiac Aztec.
A Pontiac
That's what
Aztec?
Walter White drove.
Yeah, exactly.
But he needs something to make up for the horse.
He needs that white Ferrari.
A white Chevy minivan.
He needs room in the back.
He's got to be able to haul stuff.
You're fucking with my Phantom idea, you jerk. He uses guns and he's a skull and he's the ghost who walks. I'm telling you, Phantom, guys, get into it. I've been trying to I pitched the idea of the Phantom TV series for Netflix because I think it would be well suited in a Netflix series because I think Netflix does stuff so well. Everybody always dogs on the Phantom. Give the Phantom a chance.
All right, interesting. If I had to make a choice, I would pick Jon Favreau.
Okay.
I would bring him back to the superhero fold because he still made what I think is the best Marvel movie, and that's Iron Man.
I would say Iron Man 3.
I would love him to make the Blue Beetle.
I know you're a big fan of the Blue Beetle.
Yes, but it's the Blue Beetle. It's Jaime Reyes, so he's Hispanic. Something that Jon Favreau has proved time and time again that he can really dive deep into. And this Blue Beetle has like an armored mech suit, something that Jon Favreau has already dealt with. And a lot of the Blue Beetle Jaime Reyes storyline is about how this teenager kid deals with being a superhero with his family.
Okay.
And his family knows that he's a superhero. So there's several instances where like he's like, I'm gonna go out and save the day, and the mom's like, no. And the dad's like, no, he's got to stop the fire. He's the only one that's got the blaster gun.
Right.
It's okay, son. Go out there.
I mean, you've been talking about Blue Beetle on Arrow.
Collider Arrow, a long time. Like Blue Beetle, I think he has the right stuff. He's already proven that he can make a superhero movie that is good.
Yeah.
He's already proven that he can make a superhero that has emotion. So I think if we throw him into the DC universe and we give him a superhero movie that, you know,
DC needs their Iron Man.
It's his Iron Man, and also goes back to his roots.
Yeah.
Which I think he would bring, and that's something I think would ground this character and would really make this character translate. I've been saying for years now that when they were thinking about a couple years back, they were like, "Oh, DC needs their great head of films, their Kevin Feige." I'm glad they went with Jeff Johns, but for a long time I was saying, you know what, DC should just back up the truck of money back to Jon Favreau because he already started a superhero universe and just be like, hey, man, come play in our pond.
And I 100% agree with you on twofold. One, Favreau's fantastic. Two, not that many people know much about Blue Beetle at all.
Yeah.
And not that many people knew much about Iron Man.
Nobody.
At all.
Yeah, see, back in 2008, I was the only one that was excited for the Iron Man movie because back in 2008, Iron Man was a D-list hero.
Yeah.
And I had read like some of his 80s runs, his 90s runs, and I was like, oh, this is great. But everybody was like, Iron Man. And it's so weird that now he's like the biggest superhero ever.
So who plays Blue Beetle?
Oh, I don't care.
Because you wouldn't have said back then, like, oh, Robert Downey Jr.
No, you never would
They
have
need
said.
their Robert Downey Jr.
They do. They really do. They really do. All right, well, that's cool. That's good choices. The Phantom. I'm going to keep that argument going
Telling
on.
you, man.
Guys,
Phantom.
before we hit fast forward, I want to tell you about supporting some of the geek stuff that we do here on the Jawiin channel. Of course, we always have the Patreon, patreon.com/Jawiin. And if you like Josh Macuga and you'd like to hear some more of his crazy theories, we're going to have 5 more minutes with Josh on Jason Talks More that if you go and donate on our Patreon, you can see 2 weeks before anybody else on YouTube. So head on over to patreon.com/Jawiin and make sure you check that out. So let's head to the next section, the fast forward. This is where we've got quick thoughts about tiny things. Sometimes good move or bad move, and we'll see what it is. This no good move or bad move for this one. You guys have to make a choice. What are you more excited to learn about at San Diego Comic-Con? Luke Cage, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, or Doctor Strange? Which one of those 4s were you more excited to get a glimpse or a trailer of at Comic-Con?
100% Luke Cage.
Okay, why?
Yeah, I didn't love Jessica Jones.
Me neither.
Didn't love it. Really, really enjoyed. Obviously, Daredevil was fantastic.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to Iron Fist, but I'm so looking forward to Luke Cage. And it's mostly because he was the best part of Jessica Jones.
Best actor on the show.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
He's got, they're going to do it in Harlem, so they're finally out of Hell's Kitchen. And it's going to have this like a gritty uptown vibe where you're going to have like Spanish Harlem and like Rucker Park and all these like Harlem you don't realize is so big. But Columbia is in Harlem. There's this unbelievable Renaissance on one side. You have Spanish Harlem on the other. All these restaurants. I mean, Harlem is a hotbed. Harlem is worth saving.
Harlem is a hotbed.
It is. Hell's Kitchen, the whole time that they're doing in Daredevil is like, I gotta save my city, which is basically 10 blocks from 42nd to 52nd between 8th and 9th. Like, Hell's Kitchen isn't that big, and for all that stuff to take place in Hell's Kitchen, I lived in Hell's Kitchen. It's not the best, man. But Harlem is worth saving, and Luke Cage is a friggin' badass.
All right.
And he's so understated. He's that anti-hero hero within that Marvel Netflix universe, and we don't know much about him.
That's great.
And so we're going to get that origin story that we've been looking forward to that leads us straight into Defenders, which is great.
I've seen that actor in person.
Oh, yeah?
He is a freaking Mack truck.
Yes.
He is so big.
Oh, man, awesome.
Like, bulldozer.
Yes.
All right, moving on. It was announced today that Preacher is coming back for season 2. Good move or bad move? Have you been watching The Preacher?
Love Preacher.
Okay.
Been on board since day
mixed
one.
on it.
Really?
I'm mixed on it.
Okay.
But
I know it's not for everybody.
And I'm a huge fan of Preacher. Preacher is one of my favorite ongoing comic book series of all time. Wow. And I know a lot of people have been like, well, it's not the comic series. I get that. Stop tweeting me that. It's called adaptation. For me, and I haven't seen the most recent episode, the plot just hasn't. I don't have a reason to care yet.
The first 2 episodes, I was kind of mild on. I was like, okay, this is good. This is fun. I'm really looking forward to seeing it. These last 3 episodes have catapulted me into, totally
You're on board. You're on board. Okay,
Absolutely.
cool.
Yeah.
Also, it was announced that Lost in Space is coming back to TV. Josh, I know you're a big fan of Lost in Space. Good move or bad move?
Well, as long as I put Matt LeBlanc in the television series.
Oh, God, I remember that crappy old movie.
Oh, man, that was terrible.
General Hurt, or William Hurt.
William Hurt.
Was the, oh my God. And Gary Oldman was the villain.
Gary Oldman.
Dr. Smith.
And so was the youngest daughter in Party of 5. She was like the young daughter in Lost in Space. I know a little too much about that.
So
terrible
good
movie.
move or bad move?
Bad move. I think this.
You do know this is like an old
I do. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
And Dr. Smith would always call the robot like, "You nincompoop."
Yeah.
Like, are you poopy head? I don't know what he called him.
Danger, Will Robinson.
Yeah, that's exactly that robot. Yeah, exactly right.
I don't know. I think it's a weird. I mean, listen. Netflix hasn't treated me wrong yet.
Yes.
So I'm sure they'll do it well, but I'm not like
they did for me with Lilyhammer.
Lily, did you like that?
No.
Oh, I like Lilyhammer.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, get out of here.
But I think
the Phantom and Lilyhammer's too much.
I'm out.
Out of here.
Mute me. No, I think I don't know. It's not been the most exciting. Like when they announced, I was like, all right, whatever. I'm really in the middle about it.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so let's move on to the next section, super questions, where you guys can send us new questions here to talk about with the hashtag JasonTalksGeek, or just tweet me personally. Question number 1 comes from Alex de Corville at Alex the D. He asked...
That's a great Twitter handle.
He asks, how would you handle a hostage negotiation?
Oh, easy. Watch Man on Fire do everything that Denzel Washington did in Man on Fire.
So handcuff a guy to a steering wheel and blow up the car?
Correct. Yes. Put a bomb up his butt. Kill that guy.
Did he do that?
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, he put a suppository bomb up a guy's butt and blew him up. I mean, Man on Fire is the most absurd movie when it comes to a hostage.
Apparently, Josh Macuga, Man on Fire is the manual for hostage negotiations.
Just flip the script page by page. You guys will know exactly what to do. Man on Fire.
It's good enough for me. All right.
What about you?
I can't beat Man on Fire. I'd probably just make him watch The Phantom.
All right, I give up. Sorry, Billy Zane.
All right, next question comes from Lieutenant Space Columbo. That's a great name. At AA Haro. He says, if you could reboot Arrow with yourself in charge and Stephen Amell is still there, what would you do? Now, I picked this question because we both did the Collider Arrow show, and I like this question because it's not really being like, it all sucks, because we all agree that it doesn't suck.
No. We've had a rough go of it lately.
We had a rough go of it, but I thought season 4 was a turn back to the right direction.
Yes. Took a full season to turn it.
But this is an interesting question. I thought, okay, so basically it's go back to season 1. We have Stephen Amell. How would you reboot the show?
I don't think you would ever take Oliver into this and the Arrow into this soap opera world.
Yes.
And into these villains that are trying to destroy the world. Like this world domination and this uber, superpower magic-y thing. This Arrow is supposed to be an action television show, and they went too far into the paranormal, and I didn't
too much superhero, I think, too, as well. Yeah.
Let's keep the violence. Let's keep him killing some people every now and then.
Well, what from the first season specifically, would you change anything? Like, do you still have a Felicity?
I think you don't make Felicity a love interest.
Got it. Do you still have a Diggle?
You still have a Diggle. You need that voice of reason sometimes.
Okay.
You keep Laurel Lance on the side of not in the team.
Does your Arrow have flashbacks?
No.
Okay.
I think it only has flashbacks.
Commit to it.
Only has flashbacks season 1. It tells us how he got off the island and where he got.
In one season.
In one season. So
all right,
we never have to use that device again.
All right. And is your villain in season 1 the Dark Archer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you basically just make the same show. Except in the flashback sooner.
And the flashback sooner. I think if he's asking us to reboot and to get to where we are now.
No, I think he's just saying do whatever you want. If you I think
Arrow season 1 is fantastic. We agree with that.
I agreed. Yeah, but I think the idea of the question is that he's just like, hey, you got carte blanche.
Yeah.
You know the mistakes they've made. You can now course correct them, as you can do whatever you want.
I think you make the Felicity character either a man or a non-sexual object woman.
Like a computer.
Yeah, no.
Or a robot.
No, like a woman that you wouldn't see Oliver Queen falling in love with. Maybe a lesbian. Something that we don't have Olicity.
All right.
Something that's so off CW, that love interest of will they get together? And then she gets pissed when he doesn't tell her he has a kid because the kid's going to die. You know what I mean?
Okay.
We saw that.
You're basically keeping the show the same.
Yeah.
I'm going crazy town.
Okay, go.
No flashbacks.
Okay.
More serious. No romantic love interest at all. Felicity's not even on my show.
Okay.
It is Arrow and Diggle, and that is it. The Dark Archer is the mid-season villain.
Okay.
Deathstroke shows up at the end of season 1, and we have a whole season of Deathstroke fully there.
Which
I want to go darker. I want to go more serious. I want to go Black Canary shows up in season 1. It's not Laurel. It will be Sarah, and he spends the whole season trying to figure out who she is.
Oh, I like that.
I really want by the middle of season 2 he has a goatee. By the end of season 2 he's all against the social fat cats. I want to make him a true Robin Hood like they've done in the comic books.
Yep.
Speedy gets introduced really early on. So does Deathstroke. I just would not connect him to superpowers. I would keep him street level the entire time. I would keep it dark the entire time. It is a fighting show. It's all about the fights.
Yep.
And the only time I would let him kind of be romantical is when he finds out that's Sarah. I would keep that idea. I like the idea that Sarah is Black Canary. When he finds out that Sarah is Black Canary, and then he might be like, oh, maybe I can have a romance because she's just like me, and then of course he can't have it.
Of course.
But no, that's where I'm going. I want a darker, like Mike Grell. Anybody out there, Google Mike Grell's Green Arrow. I want that type of show.
I like what you're throwing
There
out
you
there.
go.
I have always liked all of your ideas when it comes to Arrow.
There you go.
So
there you go.
And put it on a different network.
By the way, I started this in last week's Jason Talks Geek, and we keep it going. This hashtag is Jason for Jack Ryder. We got the question last week, who should I play in Arrow?
Okay.
And I'm making the case that I should play Jack Ryder. He's a DC news reporter.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, and so I just want to be on a TV in the background with my cameo as Jack Ryder.
Yes.
And I'm like, it would be so meta for DC that it'd be insane.
Interesting.
And like I said, just a TV as the camera whip pans.
You're basically, what's his name in Family Guy? Or like you're Troy McClure, basically.
Or I'm Purd from Parks and Rec. I want to be Arrow's Purd. And all you have to do
is the best,
and all you
man.
got, all I want, you don't even have to hear my dialogue.
Yeah.
I don't even care. But like I should be saying something like, it's going to be 65 in Star City, and then it moves on.
Yeah.
Okay, so the last question here is from Jess Hilaria. A long question here. We'll get to it.
Mm-hmm.
Holy Macuga, Batman. Wish granted. I requested this like a week ago. Worth the wait. Hopefully Josh will say hi to me.
Hey, man.
Hey, both huge fan of you guys. Anyways, a question to Josh. Is he a Marvel guy or a DC guy? And may I know his favorite DC hero then? I'm very curious. I think it's a very good question. Overall, are you a Marvel guy or are you a DC guy?
Well, Jess Hilario, thanks for the question. Good to hear from you, bud. Listen, I was born and bred on Batman and Superman. Those were my buddies.
Okay.
My dad loves Superman. My favorite superhero movie to this day, and it's never changed, is the 1989 Michael Keaton Batman.
All right.
I love that movie. If it's ever on television, it is. So if that makes me a DC guy, that makes me a DC guy.
Okay. So
Batman 100% has always been my favorite. I know that's like everybody loves Batman. He can do no wrong kind of a thing. But recently, I think that, if you're not somewhat really in love with those some of these Marvel movies, like Ant-Man, I could watch anytime. I loved Ant-Man, and I think Marvel is doing a much better
your favorite
job.
Marvel hero, Luis?
Oh, he's the best, man. He's freaking hysterical. DC has kind of dropped the ball a little bit in recent movies. I thought Ben Affleck was a great Batman, but I didn't think Batman v Superman was a great movie. I really want to see this Ultimate Edition.
John Schnapp claims it makes it way better, and I'm excited. I haven't seen it yet either.
Yep. So yes, I'm more of a DC guy in traditional, like in comic books and all that kind of stuff. And that original 1989 Batman again is my favorite Batman. As of recently, though, I'm like kind of trending towards kind of being in a Marvel camp because I enjoy myself way more at the movies than I've had at the
Marvel
DC.
movie.
Yeah.
So movies, Marvel, comics, DC.
Correct. Yeah.
Got it. I've always been a DC guy. I have had Marvel's.
I know.
Marvel has drugged me away with Daredevil comic books, and that's why I was so excited for the Daredevil Netflix. But DC and Nightwing and Kyle Rayner Green Lantern. I'm there.
And that's another one, Green Lantern. God, if we would see a great...
we'll get there. I think we'll get there. We'll get there. All right, so let's move into the last section of Jason Talks Geek. Quick review. This is where we're going to tell you one thing that we read, watched, listened, doesn't have to be new this week, that really made an impact on us that we would recommend. So, Josh, did you see something this week or read something this week that you think they should know about?
Yeah, HBO lately, and Showtime has done it, and I don't know, but Starz has kind of done it, is they've released some of these shows before they go up on the channel. They go up on the network live for everybody to watch. They've released it online first, or on the app, or on the on-demand, whatever. And they just did that night of. John Turturro's basically the biggest name in it right now. And it's super creepy, so well done. I knew within the first 5 minutes that I was going to love this show.
Nice.
It's the pilot episode they have on demand is almost 90 minutes. And
90 minutes?
Yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
Okay.
And it's so creepy. It's so well done. There's these little nuggets, like these Easter eggs, that are planted all throughout the episode when you're like, I don't know if he did it. I don't know who's doing what. I don't know what the universe that we're in.
So you're definitely saying that if they watch the night of, they're in like Flint.
You guys are in. And there's been a lot of pilots lately where I've been like, I'm really excited for this and have not been impressed. So
I'm with you. With you. All
night
right,
of,
cool.
check it out. I'm psyched about it.
I'm going to recommend Hell on Wheels, and because it's in its final season and it's all on Netflix, but the final season isn't, of course. But Hell on Wheels is this Western that AMC's been making, and it's the AMC show that doesn't get enough credit because it's about the building of the Transcontinental Railroad, which I think is such a genius idea for a TV show. And Chief O'Brien from Star Trek Deep Space Nine is a bad guy in it, and he's a bastard, and he's really good. And so if you're looking for like a Western that's like really, and I think they're doing a hell of a job in the final season. There are some stupid stuff in the middle, but Hell on Wheels, if you're looking for a show to watch, I think it'll definitely satisfy you.
That's one of those like top 10 in my list of I have so many shows on my queue that I need to get to. And Hell on Wheels
mine is Sons of Anarchy. Like it's like eventually I'm going to get there. Eventually I'm going to get there.
Sons.
All right, there you go. Hell on Wheels. All right, Josh, thank you so much for joining us on Jason Talks Geek. Can you let them all know where they can find you, where they should check you out, man?
Yeah, on Twitter and Instagram at Josh Macuga. You guys can watch my show, The Josh Macuga Show, on YouTube at just youtube.com, because that's The Josh Macuga Show. We have a cool new thing we're doing in about 2 weeks.
Okay.
I don't want to, we're kind of teasing it. We're like prepping some cool stuff. So all on the channel, in like the same realm of things that I like to talk about, but a totally different thing that nobody's really ever done before. So I'm psyched.
Nice.
And then you can see me every Monday on Collider doing Collider TV Talk, and then every Friday on Film HQ on the Comic-Con HQ app.
Very cool, guys. Don't forget to go follow him on Twitter and check out all the stuff that he just said. Don't forget to click subscribe because we got Geek History Lesson, more Jason Talks Geek, and eventually a couple weeks down the road, a Jason Talks More with Josh Macuga. You're going to really want to check that out. Thank you guys for watching. I'm Jason Inman, and I'll be seeing you next week.